I spent thousands on my brother's wedding, but when my family told me to serve drinks because I didn't deserve a seat, I canceled the wedding on the spot. 2 hours later, they were begging me to fix it. My name is Clara, I'm 43F, and I thought I was doing something beautiful when I decided to help my younger brother, Ethan, have the wedding of his dreams. Instead, it turned into the most painful lesson of my life, one that ended with me canceling the entire event in front of hundreds of guests. It all started months before the wedding. Ethan had always been my mother's favorite. I never minded that much growing up because I loved him dearly. I helped raise him when our dad passed away when he was only 9. I was 20 back then, working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table and pay for his school. I missed out on college opportunities and even relationships because I felt responsible for him. He was my baby brother, my purpose. When he got engaged to a woman named Amelia, I was genuinely happy for him. She was sweet, polite, and came from a humble background like ours. When planning began, I offered to help financially. Ethan and Amelia both worked, but their incomes were modest, and I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. "You've always done so much, Clara," my mother said, giving me that sweet smile she used whenever she wanted something. "But you don't need to overextend yourself." Of course, I didn't listen. I paid for the venue deposit, the catering advance, and even bought Amelia's wedding dress after she fell in love with one she couldn't afford. By the time the week of the wedding arrived, I had spent nearly $12,000 of my own savings, money I'd been putting aside for my future home. But I didn't care. I wanted my brother's day to be magical. The morning of the wedding, everything was a whirlwind. Guests from out of town arrived, decorations were being finalized, and the air buzzed with excitement. I wore a simple but elegant blue dress, nothing too flashy, because I wanted the bride and groom to shine. When I walked into the venue, my heart swelled with pride. I looked around at the beautiful setup and thought, this is what family is about: sacrifice, love, and celebration. But that feeling didn't last long. As I was helping the coordinator arrange the flowers, my mother walked over with a tight smile. "Clara, we need you to help the staff with the drinks," she said casually, like it was no big deal. I blinked, thinking I misheard her. "Help the staff? You mean, like, serve drinks?" I asked, half laughing. "Yes," she replied sharply. "We're short on people, and since you're not part of the wedding party, you can assist the waiters. Don't make a scene, just be helpful." I felt my heart drop. I looked at her, then at the guests already settling in, then back at her again. "Mom, I paid for half of this wedding. I'm not going to be a waitress at my brother's ceremony." Her expression turned cold. "Don't be dramatic. You're not the bride or groom, and frankly, this day isn't about you. You should be grateful you're even invited." Her words hit me like a brick. Grateful I'm invited? I had paid for the dress, the decorations, the food, and she was talking like I was a stranger. Before I could even respond, Ethan walked up, fixing his cufflinks. "What's going on?" he asked. My mother said, "Clara's refusing to help out. We need someone to serve drinks, and she's arguing about it." Ethan looked at me, then sighed like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Come on, Clara, don't make this difficult. Just help out a bit. You know how Mom gets." That was it. That one sentence, "you know how Mom gets," was the final straw. I realized that in his eyes, I wasn't his big sister who raised him, fed him, or paid for his dream wedding. I was just convenient. Someone to be used when needed, then pushed aside when the spotlight arrived. I stood there for a moment, feeling a lump form in my throat. Then I took a deep breath and said calmly, "You know what? You're right. This isn't about me. It's about you, so let's make it all about you." I walked toward the stage where the wedding planner was adjusting the microphone. I politely took it from her, my hands surprisingly steady. "Excuse me, everyone," I said, my voice echoing through the venue. The room fell silent. My mother's eyes widened. Ethan froze. "Before this wedding continues, I'd like to announce something important." A nervous murmur swept the guests. I looked directly at Ethan and my mother. For the past few months, I've invested my heart, time, and savings into making this day possible. I paid for the venue, the dress, the food, everything. But apparently, according to my family, I don't deserve a seat here. I was just told to act like a waiter because I'm not part of the wedding party. So let me make this easier for everyone. I turned to the manager of the venue. Cancel the contract. Effective immediately. No more catering, no more music, no more wedding. Send the remaining balance refund to my account. You could hear gasps across the room. My mother shouted, "Clara, stop this nonsense." But I kept my composure.
No, ma'am.
I'm done being treated like a servant in the name of family. I've done my part. The rest is yours. I walked off the stage, ignoring the shocked faces around me. Ethan tried to follow, grabbing my arm. "You can't do this. People are already here." His voice trembled. I looked him in the eye and said quietly, "Then you should have thought about that before you let them humiliate me." I left the venue that instant. My heart was racing, my eyes were burning, but my soul felt lighter than it had in years. I drove back home, changed out of my dress, and poured myself a cup of tea. For the first time in decades, I put myself first. 2 hours later, my phone started exploding with calls. My mother, Ethan, even Amelia's parents, everyone was begging me to come back. Apparently, the guests were leaving, the caterers refused to serve without payment confirmation, and the venue staff started clearing the decorations. Ethan's dream wedding was crumbling before his eyes. He left me dozens of voicemails, apologizing, crying, saying he didn't mean it. My mother's messages were more angry than apologetic at first, but even she broke down eventually. "Please, Clara, just fix this. We'll make it right." But I didn't go back. Not that day. Not ever. I realized that love without respect is nothing more than manipulation in disguise. I had spent my whole life being the helper, the problem solver, the peacemaker. But at that moment, I finally understood that family doesn't mean endlessly giving until there's nothing left of you. Family means mutual respect, and if that's missing, blood means nothing. The wedding never happened that day. Ethan and Amelia had to reschedule everything months later, on their own dime. I didn't attend, but from what I heard, it was small, simple, and lacking the extravagance they once wanted. I guess they finally learned what it meant to stand on their own. As for me, I took the money I got refunded and finally bought myself something I'd always wanted, a little cottage near the lake, surrounded by peace instead of people who took me for granted. I sit there sometimes, watching the sun reflect off the water, thinking about that day. And I smile, because for the first time in my life, I didn't let them walk all over me. I stood up for myself, and it felt damn good. So if you're reading this, and you've ever been the helper in your family, always giving, always being pushed aside, let my story remind you. You deserve respect too. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. Like, share, and subscribe if you believe that standing up for yourself is the greatest gift you can give your own soul.